Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Meydan Racecourse here on Friday. It is the 13th of January 2023. Gonna look at the stakes races on the program from Meydan, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Let's look at the action on today's program from Meydan. We're gonna look at almost all the races except the third race, the UAE 2000 Guineas Trial. It's a very tough race this year, and it's probably going to end up to a horse that's, has no form that I can't find. So we're going to skip over that race. We'll start off with the first race, which is the Aziz Mana handicap. It's a handicap going for a $75,000 purse. Race is for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 11 horses going 1,600 meters or a mile on the dirt course. I'm going to take here's a top selection of 4-horse Royal Muse. Let's go 4-10-1 in your TriCash trifecta. 4-10-1 TriCash trifecta. Top selection of 4-horse Royal Muse. This 6-year-old gelding here, Tango Shays on this one. The horse's seasonal reappearance came at Meydan on the 25th of November, 7 furlongs and a handicap, and he finished second by a neck that day, conditions race that day, and he finished second by a neck that day. He just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. He had the lead for a split portion, and then I just think the layoff got to him. He just couldn't keep up late. He kind of hit the wall. It wasn't his day to win. He desperately needed the race first off the bench. Second off the bench, not the world's toughest race again, back to dirt. I expect him to run good, and I think he could get the victory. 2 back and run conditions race at Jebel Ali on the dirt, 1,400 meters, 7 furlongs there on a handicap. He finished 10th by 13 3/4 lengths that day, and he was just wide and just never getting into it. It wasn't his day to win. And then before that, in the Burj Nahar, he finished 6th by 6 1/4 lengths that day. Never really getting a good trip, kind of hitting the wall from a tracking trip. Again, wasn't his day to win. But down the class ladder, second off the bench, even with the high weight, I think he's a very likely winner. Let's take him here. To recap my selection for the opener from Meydan, let's take the 4-horse Royal Muse, 4-10-1 in your TriCash trifecta. The second race from Meydan, it is the Al Wasil Stakes. It's a conditions race going for a $60,000 purse. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. 9 horses are dashing 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the turf course. Gonna take here the 6-horse Princeville as a top selection. 6-2-4 for me in your TriCash trifecta. 6-2-4 TriCash trifecta. Top selection of 6-horse Princeville. This 3-year-old gelding by Exceed and Excel. Godolphin owns, Charlie Outby trains, William Buick gets the mount. The Godolphin horses weren't really firing opening night of the carnival. Maybe that's going to change tonight. Horse's most recent outing came to the UK on the 20th of September at Linkfield. 5 furlongs on the poly track and a nursery handicap, and he won by a half a length that day. He was under the drive, but excelling under the drive. He stalked, he got the lead, he quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. A very good race there. Not as fast as the previous race in defeat, but it was still a very good run. Before that, I thought he ran terrifically in defeat on the 17th of August at Wolverhampton. 5 furlongs in a novice race. He finished second by 2 3/4 lengths. He just stalked. He got caught late, but he ran some quick fractions that day. Not the world's worst race for him there. And then at Yarmouth on the turf, 5 furlongs in main race. Winning by 3/4 length, again from a tracking position. When he got the lead, 62 cents to the dial of favor. Very, very heavy bet into the ground. It was a very easy race after all is said and done. Drawn the stance on, has some forwardly pace here today. I think this horse can get a good trip and win. I'm going to use him here. To recap my selection for the second from Meydan, Style with Seal Stakes, let's take the 6-horse Princeville, 6-2-4 in your TriCash trifecta. Now the third race, the UAE 2000 Guineas Trial, we're going to skip over because a lot of these horses, the form, it could go anywhere in this race. Wouldn't surprise me, just looking on paper, Sharp Army, I think at 12-1 has a strong chance with this 3-year called by Sharp Azteca. Should have some strong pace here with him. Also, the Flying Hunter for William Buick, wouldn't surprise me if he gets a good trip. But but also those longer priced horses wouldn't surprise me if they win. So we're gonna skip over this race and head over to the 4th race now here at Meydan, which is the IPM Tomby Stakes. It's a conditions race going for a $150,000 purse. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. 9 horses are going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the turf course. I'm going to take here the 9-horse Wild Beauty. Let's go 6-2-3 in your TriCash trifecta. 9-2-3 in your TriCash trifecta. 9-2-3 TriCash trifecta. Top selection 9-horse Wild Beauty. 4-year-old filly by Frankel. Godolphin Doan. Charlie Outby trains. William Buick gets the mount. Hasn't been seen since the 29th of May. That came over at Longchamp, a mile and a quarter in the Group 1 Pre-Saint Alaray, and he finished 5th by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he just sat back early. He was on the drive, but just not excelling. Very tough Group 1. I thought it was just a too tough, ask for the horse. Refreshing here in the UAE, not the world's toughest horses, should get a good trip, and I think this filly could win. Two back ran the Group 1000 Guineas in Newmarket, 1 mile on the 1st of May. She finished ninth by 9 quarter lengths that day, and she was with him early on, but then just kind of hit the wall. Cash it really won quite nicely. This horse just wasn't getting there. And then Newberry in the Group 3 Dubai Duty Free Stakes, winning by a half a length that day. Again, she sat a little closer that day. When she got the lead, she got the job in a very good race. As a 2-year-old, she actually won it in North America at Woodbine, 1 mile in the Grade 1 Natama Stakes with Frankie Dettori up. She won by 2 1/4 lengths, and she stalked. She got the lead top of the lane and then took off clear. A very good run. Hasn't found that 2-year-old form in the 3-year-old campaign, but going to the 4-year-old campaign today, it wouldn't surprise me if she gets the job done here. We'll use her on the ticket. To recap my selection for the 4th for Meydan, let's take the 9-horse Wild Beauty, 9-2-3 in your tri-cast trifecta. The 5th race, the featured 5th race now from Meydan, it is the Group 2 Rashidiya Stakes. It's a Group 2 event going for an $180,000 purse, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 11 horses going 1,800 meters or a mile and 1/8 on the turf course. I'm going to take here the number 10 horse, the 10 horse Ottoman Fleet. Let's go 10-6-1 in your tri-cast trifecta. 10-6-1 tri-cast trifecta, top selection 10 horse Ottoman Fleet. 4-year-old Gelding by See the Stars, Godolphin Doan, Charlie Outbeach Reigns, William Buick gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 29th of October, Newmarket, soft ground, a mile and a quarter in a listed stakes, and the horse won by 5.5 lengths that day. End of the season stakes, very wet ground. He sat back early. He had a little bit of a trouble trip heading to the front end. For when he did, he quickened up nicely and he went away with it. A very good race. Very rare for Godolphin and Ryan Moore to have mounts together. But, they got the job done. A very good race for this horse there. Two back in the Group 3 Darley Stakes at Newmarket over the mile on the 8th of October. The horse finished second by 1/4 lengths that day. And he sat back early. It looked like he was going to pounce at any second, but he just couldn't get there. He's on the drive, just not excelling there. Might have hung a little bit. It wasn't the day to win. And then a handicap at Newberry on the 17th of September over the mile and a quarter. He finished second by a neck that day. Again, he just was under the drive. It took him a lot to get going. He just lost by neck. He just needs something there. Maybe, need the race first start in 3 months. And then the Group 2 King Edward the 6th at Ascot over the mile and a half. He finished 4th by 4 lengths that day. And again, he had a good trip, but just didn't win. His most recent victory before the Newmarket race came in the listed stakes, actually Newmarket on the 14th of May on the Rolling Mile. Very fast ground, a mile and a quarter in that race. He won by a half a length, and he put on a show there. Very good run. Refreshing here. 7-2, I think he's loaded. I think also the 6 horse here, San Donato for Doug Watson, you have to watch out for. Love the victory from the Y Poster at Abu Dhabi last month. And some of the races in the UK, in 2021 and 2020 can definitely get the job done here. Coming here second off the long refreshing. I think this horse could have serious, have a serious race here. We'll use him on the ticket. But to recap my selection for the 5th, the Group 2 Rashidiya Stakes, let's take the 10 horse Ottoman Fleet, give kudos to the 6 horse San Donato, 10-6-1, tri-cast trifecta, 10-6 in your multi-race plays pot, quaddy, whatever you want to decide to play. Let's get to the 6th race from Meydan, which is the Thunder Snow Challenge Stakes. It's a conditions race going for a $150,000 purse, races for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 11 horses going to the dirt, the distance of ground of 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter on the dirt course. I'm going to take here the 3 horse First Constitution. Let's go 3-11-7 in your tri-cast trifecta. 3-11-7 tri-cast trifecta, top selection of 3 horse First Constitution, 6-year-old horse by Constitution. Miguel Barzalona gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 23rd December at Meydan, mile and a quarter on the turf in the listed stakes. And the horse finished 3rd by 3 3/4 lengths that day. He just kind of stalked the leader. He's off and on the lead vying. But then he just couldn't keep up late. Off the bench, I do think he needs to race. Back to to dirt today, where I think he should get a good trip. I think he get the job done and win. 2 back around the dirt here in New York at Belmont, a mile and a half in the Brooklyn Handicap, and he finished 5th by 5 lengths that day. He didn't have the best beginnings, was wide throughout, and he just couldn't get there. It was very tough Brooklyn. It wasn't his day to win. And then prior to that, in the flat out over the mile 3/8 on the Belmont main track, he won by 4. He was much the best on paper that day. He got a good position out of the gate, and he basically walked on the front end. A very good run for him there. And then prior to that, at Aqueduct, a mile and eighth in the Excelsior, he finished third by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and he stalked a fast pace for one. Really closed up well that day. This horse just wasn't getting there off the bench. And then last January in the Jazzle at the Aqueduct over the mile and eighth, he won by 6 1/2 lengths and took off clear. Not the world's toughest race, but he still got the job done. Coming here has some early pace if he wants to use it. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets the job done. Definitely using your ticket. He's my top selection. But to recap my selection for the 6 from Meydan, it's the Thunder Snow Challenge Stakes. Let's take the 3-horse First Constitution. Let's go 3-11-7 in your TriCash trifecta. The nightcap, the 7th race from Meydan. It is the Aziz Rivera handicap. It's going for a $75,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 17 horses are entered, but the 17 horses are reserved, so 16 will go 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to take the 8-horse Echo Point, 8-2-16 for me in your TriCash trifecta. 8-2-16 TriCash trifecta. Top selection, the 8-horse Echo Point. This 5-year-old gelding by DeBowie. Charlie Appy trains. William Buick gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came at York on the 18th of August, a mile and a heritage handicap, and he sucked that day. He finished 10th by 7 1/4 lengths that day. He was on the drive most of the race and just not excelling. I do think he got beat by better horses. Maybe he bled in that race. Refreshing here, lesser quality horses. I think he's in a better spot to win, and I think get the job done. 2 back at Newmarket, 7th of July, 1 mile in the handicap. He finished second by 2 lengths that day. And, he had a good gallop that day. He just couldn't get there late up the final furlong of the Royal Mile, which would be tough at times. He just wasn't keeping up. Maybe needed the race there. It was his first start back from Meydan, where he ran last February, 1.25 in a handicap locally. He finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths that day. And he stalked, and he just couldn't quicken up like the few in front of him. And then here in the handicap over the 1.25 last year on the turf, drawn 16 of 16. He finished second by a neck. He was wide throughout, but he really closed up well late. Coming here at 9-2, he's got to overcome a wide poster, but it wouldn't surprise me here. And also the 2-horse Electrical Storm for Daniel Thudhope and Godolphin and Saeed Bensour. He was a winner here in a conditions race in December on the turf very nicely. And then some of the races, you could throw out the Cesar, or the handicap in September at Newmarket, where he just wasn't getting into it. But the races at Haydock and Sandown of the summer weren't bad at all. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a piece of it. We'll use him in the multi-race play spot. But to recap my selection for the nightcap from Meydan, the 7th race, let's take the 8-horse Echo Point. Give kudos to the 2-horse Electrical Storm. 8-2-16 TriCash trifecta. 8-2 in your multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.